A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Now, the most the statement that I get is, I don't know what to do. So this means that you've taken admission in your MS or your PhD, but you don't know where to go, what to do. Now, in order to understand, in order to answer this question, there are a few steps that one needs to take. The step one is identify your area of interest. Everybody has got his or her own area of interest. Now, what you need to do is you need to first identify what's your area of interest. For example, mine is human resource management. Someone will have, say, finance. Someone will have anything else, maybe project or maybe marketing or supply chain management or project success or any other area. So first identify what's your area of interest. Step two is your topic of interest. Now in each area you've got multiple topics, maybe hundreds of them. So in finance you might be interested in earning per share or organizational performance or different types of organizational performance, objective measures of organizational performance. In HRM you could have leadership as your area of interest. Mine is leadership, corporate social responsibility, internal marketing, and knowledge management. So once you know that this is your topic of interest, the next step is to identify or look into what is available in the literature. Now, the first step, when you are looking for what is available, you need to find out what has been done, what can be done in future, and what theories have been used in a particular topic. Now, how do you find out what has been done? A simple starting point could be, for example, a very simple and easy to do starting point could be Google Scholar. Now there is a very detailed video and we did a webinar, and it was the most successful webinar that we did on how to search on Google Scholar, how to search using Mendeley. So do watch that video in order to properly understand how to use Google Scholar, because when you go through that video and see, okay, how this can be utilized for your literature reviews, you will understand you've been doing it all wrong all this time for the past maybe 20 years or maybe since the Google Scholar began. So the first step is what is available. So let's search what is available. So let's say my interest is servant leadership. So what Google gives me, it gives me hundreds of papers. This link here will have hundreds of papers in there. I can't go through all these papers. So it's literally impossible for someone to go and read all these papers. So I want to know what is available, what's latest. So let's say I select since 2009 from here. Now what I see is, I see latest papers on servant leadership. This will give me a very clear idea as to what is done or what has been done. Now when you are searching for what has been done, it's a very good way, or what you should do is you should look for systematic reviews. Recently there has been a significant rise in using systematic reviews in business management. So what systematic reviews do for you is that they give you a clear idea of what has been done in the past 15, 20, 30 years on a particular topic. So let's say my area is servant leadership, and there is one topic done or one systematic review done by Nathan Eva from Monash University, and this is the paper. So let's open this paper and see what's in there and how this paper or this particular paper can help me. So let's download it and see what's in there. So what it does is it gives me this paper written by Eva et al. And then obviously this is abstract, there is introduction, and the first thing is that I get a chart. This shows me that okay, this is servant leadership publications by year and type, the types of publications and the year of publications. So recently there has been a significant rise in the empirical studies on servant leadership. Furthermore, going down, it gives me the journals that have been publishing in this particular area. So this will help you identify the journal in which you can publish your study. So most of the studies have been done in Leadership and Organizational Development Journal and Journal of Business Ethics, 20 and 17 respectively, and this is their impact factor. Now there is a journal on servant leadership, 13 studies. So if you are focusing on knowledge management, you might come across Journal of Knowledge Management as a potential avenue to publish your research. So if you have got a systematic review, this will give you an idea what avenues can you use or where you can publish your research. Moving on, it will give you the differences in servant leadership and other leadership styles. And most importantly, it will give you an existing range of definitions that have been proposed in this particular topic, and how these definitions obviously complement, contradict each other. And they might have defined it in a more comprehensive manner as well that you can use in your study, because this is the first step. We will be looking into the normal mistakes that we make while we are doing our proposal writing or literature writing or thesis writing. But using this literature review or systematic review will give you a clear idea of what the concept is and how it has evolved. The next thing is, and a very important thing, is measures of servant leadership, because obviously we are focusing on business research, so we need to measure our variables. So what measures are available, and can you use those measures? Let's say these are the measures that are available. So you do not need to search separately for each measure. So okay, what measures are available to measure or scale servant leadership? These are the measures available. Just download these papers and use them. For example, this has got 6 items. So if you are looking for a unidimensional scale, this might be an answer. If you are looking for multi-dimensional scale, Loeb 1999 could be an answer. Or maybe Erhard, servant leadership, 14 items. So a systematic review will give you, under one paper, you will have your definitions, you will have the measures, and you will have how the concept has evolved. So this solves most of the problems that you might initially encounter in understanding a particular concept. Apart from this, this is something that is very important. Where have these studies been conducted, and what was the level of these studies? Recently, there has been a rise in multi-level studies on concepts. So you can see there are very few multi-level studies. So this is a particular gap that you can identify, and there have been very few qualitative studies as well. So if you are a qualitative researcher, what you can do is you can obviously use this paper as a reference to say that there have been very little research or qualitative research on this concept. Then obviously you will have to explain why qualitative research must be conducted in this area. And if you are, for example, in any country, see if there has been research in that particular country. Let's say we've got India here, just 3 studies. We've got Pakistan here somewhere, 5 studies. So very few studies. You can't just conclusively say, okay, this is servant leadership in Pakistan. But this is not a gap. This is not a strong gap. So apart from just focusing a study on a particular country, there have to be other gaps as well. There is a video available on gaps, or what is gaps, or what should be the gaps on the YouTube channel as well. We'll share the link to that as well. Now, another important thing is this, or these tables. You will find most of these tables in systematic reviews. Okay, what it does is it tells you okay, what mediators have been tested, what outcomes have been tested. So you know that you are proposing a new outcome. If it has been tested with the same outcome, obviously this lacks originality. You need to propose new mediators to different outcomes. How do you do this? Through a systematic review. Again, this is another table. Mediators and outcomes. Mediators, outcomes. Now this is particularly important. This is what I like about systematic reviews. You are getting a whole nomological network as to what has been done, what antecedents to servant leadership have been evaluated, what mediators have been checked. Now, what outcomes have been checked, and what moderators have been checked. This is very important. Now, only using this you can propose your new research with new outcomes, new mediators, and new moderators with servant leadership. For example, somebody took LMX with the outcome OCB, so you can take LMX with, say, work-life balance. So you are checking a new mediator in the relationship. You can take a new moderator, or you can take new antecedents. If you look here, there have been very few antecedents to servant leadership studied. So what you can do is, just hold on. There are people trying to join, so just give me a second. Umar, can you post the Zoom link or Zoom invitation onto LinkedIn? Ms. Gulafsha wants her students to join. Can you do that, please, Umar? Thank you. Now, just give me a second. Let me do it. Just. Okay, now, so using this particular nomological network, you can propose maybe tens of new studies, if not hundreds, but tens of new studies. Now, moving on. And there is another thing that is important in this particular paper, very important, and you will find it in every paper. And that is that it gives you directions for future research. So it is giving you research questions that you can utilize. So you can obviously take this research question and conduct your own study. For example, this says that so it says, how does organizational culture influence the display of servant leadership? So they have proposed research questions that future researchers can use and propose their own studies. Obviously, it's always recommended, do not take just one question. Merge these 2-3 questions together and propose your model. This will add to originality of your research. And another important thing that you get from these systematic reviews, it clearly identifies the theories that you should use. So you do not have to search for theories as well. This is a very good starting point for someone who does not know, okay, what should I do? Where should I go? What is available in research? So if you are a novice researcher who has just started, and you know that what research is and what should be done, but you do not know where to start, this is a very good starting point that one should obviously look into. Now, apart from this, it can obviously give you theories that have been utilized in existing research. What you can do is just press Ctrl F and write the word theory. So it will give you other theories that have been utilized in previous research. And obviously, whenever you are reading a paper, just write the word theory in that particular paper, and so to know that, okay, this particular variable is utilized, this is the theory that has been used to explain the relationship between variables. Now, okay, now what if you can't find reviews? So what will you do? Obviously, if you can't find reviews, try to find latest papers on that particular topic. Like servant leadership, this is one of the latest papers by Academy of Management, published in 2019. So a very good starting point. So open this paper, read through this paper, or any other latest paper. The point is reading about the particular area, reading about the particular topic, and what is available on that particular topic. So it's an open access, so we will have access to the PDF file. And record this information, what's in there. put it in that Excel sheet. Try to read at least 15 to 20, 30 papers on that particular concept that you want to research on. And once you do that, you will be in a better position to understand the concept and propose new research on that particular concept. Moving on, let's look at the next steps. Step 4, has the top journals in your field focused on the topic of your interest? This is particularly important. Sometimes we focus on a particular topic that is actually not very important. For instance, recently me and Umar had trouble publishing a paper on university social responsibility. I've published maybe 7 or 8 papers on corporate social responsibility, and I thought that this could be a very viable topic for universities as well. But I could only manage one paper, and while I was writing my second paper, I had faced rejection for maybe 10 or 15 journals, and finally it went into review in recently, maybe 2 weeks ago. So look for a topic that has been used and researched in top journals. For instance, if we go back to our example here, Servant Leadership was published in Academy of Management journal, and it can't get any better than this. Academy of Management is the topmost journals. So if they are publishing on servant leadership and only recently they've been publishing, well, this is particularly important. So this topic is viable. You should focus on this particular topic. And then start reading. And when you are reading, store relevant information. It's obviously important to read. But when you are reading and you keep on reading, you are not actually storing information. We are not computers that, okay, all information will be copied into our memory and we can retrieve the information whenever we want. This does not happen with humans. You need to store the relevant information. Now, how do you store relevant information? Obviously, there is a video already done, but let's say how to do it. This is an Excel sheet, and I'll share it with you all in the group as well. I'll share the presentation as well. The edited form of the video will be shared on YouTube. Okay, so now what information to store? You need to store the value of your research. Why it is important to conduct this particular study? What's the value of this particular area? What existing research is available? What are the gaps in existing research, or what gaps they have addressed? What theory did they use? What were the contributions of their study? What limitations did they identify? And apart from this, there should be other information as well. What variables did they use? What were the results of their study? So this is particularly important. And if you have got any comments after reading that paper, obviously put it in. Put a summary, try to put a summary in there, at least for 10 to 15 papers initially that you read. So you get into the habit of summarizing things. So store relevant information. Once you have done it, you should be able to identify where a particular information is located. So once you have read through the paper, maybe 10, 15 papers, you would know where the gaps are or where the gaps are written. You would know where theoretical implications are written. You know where the questionnaire or the scales are provided. This is particularly important when you are writing your own thesis or your business research proposal. So you know this particular information will be located in this particular area. And then start proposing. But do not propose in haste. What I've seen in early career researcher is that they read 2 or 3 papers and then they come up with a model. And then they are proposing a model for research. But when you ask them, okay, what is this concept? They've got no idea what this concept is. And if you ask them, how are you going to measure this concept? They have no idea how it will be measured. If you ask them what theory are they going to use, they don't even know why a theory should be used. So do not propose in haste. I've been saying that you need to read at least 15 to 20 papers and understand every single terminology that is in the paper. For example, scales, measures, analysis, conceptual framework, theoretical framework, theory. You should be able to define these concepts in context of your research. And maybe in general, you should be able to understand or grasp these concepts as to what they are. Before that, you should not start proposing a model, because then you will propose a wrong model. And most of the times, and this is obviously, I'm not saying this because I'm a supervisor. This is the student to be blamed. A supervisor is just a guide. Initially, he might not have enough time to look into the details as to what you have done. So you have to take ownership of your learning. You are a MS or PhD student, and especially for PhD students, you have to take ownership of your own learning. It's 80% your own learning and 20% guidance. But obviously that 20% matters a lot. Now discuss with experts. Yes, you might be an expert in that particular area, but if you are conducting a new research, always discuss it. I'm just like I'm going to give you my own example with Umar. Whenever I am proposing a new model, I always discuss it with Umar, because I know it's knowledge management is particularly his area. He's doing PhD in it. My area is leadership, corporate social responsibility. So if he's proposing something with regards to leadership, corporate social responsibility, or internal marketing, he asks me. But if I'm proposing something related to knowledge management, I go to Umar. So if you are doing something related to analysis, ask an analytical expert. I came across a questionnaire recently, and the questionnaire, one of the questions was like this: do you love your job? For instance, one of the question was like this: do you feel satisfied with your work? And you know, the scale in front was like strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, strongly disagree. This is what happens when you, and that particular person had already collected data on it. Now this is entirely wrong. When you are asking an interrogative question, the answer is yes, no, not agreement scale. Agreement is with statements, and this is not a statement to agree with. This is a question to answer with yes or no. So what if you have done this because you did not read enough, because you did not look into the items, or how a particular concept should be measured, how it should be operationalized? You did not discuss it with the experts. For example, it was long ago, maybe 7 8 years ago, that there was a student, a lady came in, and she said, okay, I've done the tests, and these are my results, I've collected the data, this is my thesis, but the examiners have rejected my thesis. And I said, well, why? And when I saw she applied paired sample t-test, when instead she should have applied independent sample t-test, because paired sample t-test is for before and after situation, and independent sample t-test is for independent groups. Now this is something that you can obviously avoid. So discuss with experts, and try to write and get it reviewed. Obviously start writing after reading enough papers and storing enough information. So start writing, and now obviously do not start writing the introduction. How can you introduce something when you do not know that particular thing or particular concept? Now, in order to know that particular concept, you have to read that particular concept. You have to write literature on it. So once you write the literature, then you can write the introduction, because literature will give you more gaps, more contradictions, more theories that you might be able to use. And obviously get it reviewed, not only by the experts or your supervisor, with your peers as well, those who you can trust. So get it reviewed. And again, don't be discouraged. Take the critique openly.